Good, good. We got a little break this morning from the rain. Amen for that. So I'm glad to see everyone here. So welcome to our District 1, I would say Community Accountability Network. But I'm sorry, Reggie, are we live?
I believe we are.
Okay. So welcome to our satellite hours for District 1. My name is Daniela Borum. I'm Special Projects and Partnerships in the Office of Councilman Tate. And so you're here at our satellite hours. We're here every first and third Friday. And so really it's just your opportunity to come, talk with your other residents, talk directly to Councilman Tate, ask questions, learn from each other. So I'm standing in for Aaron Hall. So the first rules of satellite hours are what? No rules, right. So we really get to ask whatever questions we want. There's nothing that's off the table. We're all family here, so we like to talk openly with each other. One other thing I want to make sure, if you did not sign in, please make sure you sign in. I have a sign-in sheet coming around on the clipboard. And then there's one at the table. Let's see, we have a couple of materials on the table, our NPO flyers, satellite hour flyer. I know a lot of people like to take information back to your respective neighborhood groups and organizations. So thank you for doing that, passing the word along about what we have coming up. Actually, we have May 18th, so this is really important. So I know normally every fourth Saturday is our D1 monthly meeting. But this month, because the holiday is on the fourth Saturday, we've moved our meeting up 1 week. So it will be on May 18th, which is the third Saturday this month. So just make that. And actually, oh yeah, we have a special announcement. We will be here at Artist Village in the back area. So we'll be here. You will be able to come in through the front doors of the Java House, and you'll be able to make your way back to the Artist Village. So we're super excited about that. I think Alicia's a little busy, but I'm sure she'd like to make a note about that. So we're excited to be in the house. Reggie, you want to say something about that? Oh. But yeah, so we're excited about moving our monthly meeting up 1 week so that we can enjoy the Memorial Day holiday. And I hope that everybody comes out. We'll have a flyer with all of our information. I think it really will be a chance to really focus on our Old Redford neighborhood. So that will be great. Let's see. So I'm going to start around the room. We're a little short this morning, but that's okay. I'm going to start around the room. If you could just introduce yourself and say what group you're from.
Hi, my name is Tony Woods. I'm with the City of Detroit graffiti team.
Reese Gallimore, City of Detroit graffiti team.
Jacob Webster, precinct delegate, 327.
L.B. Johnson, Bird Glass Radio Patrol and Bird Glass Association.
Thank you.
I'm Annette Flowers, Fenmore Summit Block Club. That's between, that's on Fenmore between Puritan and Florence.
Paulette Watson, I'm with the O'Hara Park Association between 7 Mile and 8 Mile and Evergreen and Southfield.
Good.
I'm Marie Nell from Patton Street.
Good morning, I'm Diane Hanks. I live in Riverdale.
Jeffrey Farley, I'm from Life Challenge.
Lynn Weathersby for Community Block Club Association E.
George Etheridge, City of Detroit, City Planning Commission, Legislative Policy Division, and Precinct Delegate for Precinct 351.
Thank you. We're missing some folks.
I'll take it to the back, but can I just say something for the meeting? As the mic goes around, just a little mic etiquette. Please make sure to speak directly into the mic because we are broadcasting live on Facebook, so it just makes it easier for the noise to transcribe through the speaker and into the camera. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Reggie.
No problem.
Doug Russell from Detroit Blockworks.
Good morning, Keith Williams with the Vaughn Street Block Club.
Good morning. Are we missing anyone else?
Alberta Williams here from the Vaughn Street Block Club.
Good morning. Is there anybody else? That's it, Reggie?
That's it.
Okay. Reggie, do you think? I thought maybe Reggie would talk a little bit about this month's meeting that we have coming up. Reginald, you want to talk a little bit about this month's meeting?
Okay, well, this month's District 1 monthly meeting, we're going to have, well, you can talk about the platform. You know more about that one than I do. But we're going to have, wow. We're going to be here at Artist Village. We're going to have the chess team from Bates Academy is going to be here. Some young students who won a lot of awards, local students. We're also going to have people here who are representing the platform, which is a business development that's taking place across the street.
The Obama building.
What's known as the Obama building. The building right on the corner here, it had the large mural of Obama and Mrs. Obama on it. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be developing that site.
And my understanding is that they're also going to develop the space on Grand River between the bike shop and Nappy Cuts, the barber shop. So they'll be here to talk a little bit more about meetings too. So that'll be a great opportunity to connect with them if you haven't before, or reconnect. Yes, at the D1 monthly meeting on May 18th. Aaron, are you ready? Give it up for Aaron Hall. Aaron is our community liaison. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Reggie, but Reggie is our community coordinator. And a lot of folks I know are familiar with Reggie. But Aaron, we just talked, everybody's already introduced themselves. We just talked a little bit about our May 18th meeting. Instead of the 4th Saturday in May, it will be the 3rd Saturday. And we're here in Artist Village. I was trying to see if Alicia was free, if she wanted to talk about hosting us here. So we're excited for that. That's right.
Cool. Is she come? Oh, she's busy. All right. Once again, everybody give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for coming out this morning. Looks like I pretty much know everybody in the room. Okay, cool. We have one new person, do we not? No. Oh, okay. She said, I've been here. I ain't saying nothing else, all right? Get about with me. Listen, I understand on this, I wouldn't call it dreary, but rain a little bit, so we got a break. So Danielle's already gone over the rules for the meeting, how things are just a free-for-all in this game. It's a conversation between our office and you. More often than not, we'll say that we don't have the answers to all your problems. We'll do our best to point you in the right directions. Most of the time, people you're sitting right next to encounter some of the same things that you have and are more inclined to kind of help you out. I know there's some people in the audience that have telephone numbers faster than I can provide them. Okay? So we started on what side of the room? Well, I'm starting. So we're going to start on this side then. What's going on with you? Anybody have any topics, anything concerning you want to talk about today? Well, I can stand up and sing the whole time if you like to. I've been practicing my
Sure. First thing, we're all prepped in our neighborhood to get ready for the Motor City Makeover tomorrow.
Okay, where are you guys doing a project at? Because we actually want to have that put down.
Vaughn Street between Puritan and Midland.
Can we put that down? Because I'll be out and about, and so will Reginald. want to go ahead and shoot some of these
I don't want to be shot.
We'll take photographs of you. See, that's a dad joke too. Y'all didn't catch that one. You make me pervert. Poof, you were a murderer. I'm just kidding. All right, good one. I will add that to my repertoire of dad jokes. That's a good one, man.
One of the challenges that we're facing right now is we've got a number of rental properties.
Yes.
And we're trying to communicate with the tenants
Right.
about those, upkeep of the properties and things of that nature. And with some, there's been successful. With others, it has not been as successful.
Right.
I personally have tried to go to Wayne County's websites and things like that to try and track down owners, landlords of these properties. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I have a relative who is in another district who has a piece of property that we were contacted when her name wasn't even on the county deeds, county records. But someone was able to actually find her, leave a message, hey, I'm interested in purchasing the property, yada, yada, yada. Where I'm unable to. I'm unable to find that kind of information. Why is that? What can we do so that I can incorporate and encourage the landlord to participate in keeping up the neighborhood?
So there's a short answer and a long answer. For the sake of time, I'll give you the short one. It is sometimes quite difficult to track down the owners of properties. A lot of times they'll have LLCs just for that property, and then that property were owned by a company in Illinois who don't have a phone number on the deed. So there are two ways that I have found to be successful. Well, three actually. One, you can say this, we're online, it's fine. Nothing helps people respond faster than a ticket. A lot of times those properties may not be up to date, not clean, things of that nature. The second thing you can do is also talk to your district manager. They can assist you in pointing the right direction of who to talk to, when to talk to, and things of that nature. And finally, your neighborhood police officer. They can assist you with mediating those issues with that neighbor, whether it be parking on the grass or trash cans not being pulled back. We can get you the numbers of the inspector for District 1, and we can kind of start that process.
She's on speed dial.
Oh, she's on speed.
He's on speed dial.
Okay. Well, we can take a deeper dive into that one in a moment.
We have taken the steps to do the app to improve Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten tickets. The tenants don't respond, and so the issue is getting the ownership to respond.
Exactly.
And neither has the tools to find those.
Yeah,
that's the
trust
issue.
Me.
How does the citizen assist in this process to get to that information? I'll write a letter. I know where one guy is. I think I'm going to go out in Berkeley and knock on his front door. And
we didn't tell you to do that.
You didn't tell me to do that.
Everybody, look at the camera. The office.
Keep my neighborhood up.
No, trust me, I understand. We'll get with you on kind of the finer details for that issue to begin with. Is that the wife?
Yes.
Oh, your location for Motor City Makeover on Saturday? On Vaughn Street?
On Vaughn Street between Puritan and Midland.
Between Puritan and Midland. All right, so if you see me ride by your house and start taking pictures out the window, just know it's me.
Just don't.
It's just me. He said, I don't want to be shot.
Get out the car.
We're focused on the alley. We have an alley.
Okay.
That we're trying to keep people from dumping in.
Right.
And so that's our project for tomorrow, is that alley. You know, last year we started and it hasn't gotten bad for this year.
Okay.
But what's that company named Davy, the DTE hired to put down the street? They chopped down limbs and yes.
And they leave them? So why haven't we reported this? Have you actually talked to DT? And what was DT's response?
I'm on vacation.
Really?
Yeah.
So we have a contact with DT Governmental Relations. We'll also kind of, that should not be the case.
In fact, their response was, because I talked to the foreman, and he said those branches are too large for our chipper. Well, why did you cut them?
This is the first time hearing this one. Wow. You guys didn't come to see me talk. Let's go ahead and give our own Councilman James Tate a round of applause as we walk into the stage, please.
How's everybody doing today? Thank thank you for being here. Very, 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 very much appreciated. Today is a very special day because we're here. Period. Point blank. Thought I had something else behind it, right? And the basements aren't flooded. And the freeways are actually clear today. So it's been very challenging, very, very, very challenging times weather-wise and just life-wise for a whole lot of folks. Let's be real. So that's why I said that in jest. But honestly, just being here is truly a blessing, especially being able to be here with you all. So today, see some new faces here. We have guests. As you know, we have the first Friday, and every first Friday we have an interview. And I know you guys got to get out of here because you got to go and take care of some things. So you mind if we start with the first Friday interview first? All right, you all give it up. Today we're going to have gentlemen who are from the Graffiti Task Force. So you already see all this. You probably seen less graffiti over the past couple of years in our community. Some of it is gang graffiti. Some of it is just taggers who are going out and they want to put their names out there. Some of them just want to create art in the community as well. Some just want to do that. Regardless of why they're doing it, the reality is most of it, if not all, is illegal. And so we've got to figure out how to deal with that issue. But then once you take away art, what are we doing to replenish the art that is here, that was once there in that position? So without further ado, I would like to bring forward Zachary Mears. He's the project manager and data analytics specialist. Y'all give it up.
Thank you.
All right. And he also brought with him Mr. Anthony Woods. Mr. Anthony Woods, y'all give it up for Mr. Anthony Woods. And also Mr. Reese Gallimore. All right, that's it, all right. So these are the gentlemen who actually remove all of that graffiti away from the viaducts, the overpass, you name it, this is what they do. So thanks for being here.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, sir. Give us a little background about you. How did you end up in this position? Where do you sit today as the, make sure you get the title right. This is the project manager and data analytics specialist for
PMASH for short. For GSD, General Services Department. Well, I'm originally from San Francisco. I've been in Detroit about 10 years. I've worked for the city about 4 years, and a couple years ago I started a public art program called City Walls that we do for the city of Detroit. And you know, people get promotions, people move, and the person who was running the graffiti removal program got a promotion. So there was an opening, and they felt that there was sort of a symbiotic relationship between the removal of graffiti and the art program. So they moved me over there about a year ago.
So are you an artist by trade?
I like to say that I retired once I started working for the city and took this position.
How do you retire from being an artist? I mean, I thought isn't there something that's in your heart, in your soul, that's in your hands?
Yeah, that's a longer conversation.
Okay.
I think we can take that.
So now, how is it being an artist and being the person who essentially has to remove someone else's art? Is that a bit of an internal conflict to an extent?
I mean, it could be. I think that I probably look at it more like how you said. In the end, it's illegal. If you don't have permission to do what you want to do on somebody else's property, then that's illegal. So I don't have any problem taking that down. But also having the channels for outreach and creating more art, we've done a lot of good work on that side of the coin too. So I'm glad we're able to do that. But yeah, I pretty much draw that line where it's like you have permission, it stays. If you don't, it goes.
So what do you see typically as the most malicious graffiti, if you will? When we're talking, again, viaducts, or we're talking tagging buildings, personal property of individuals?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I mean, I think that our viaducts do often get hit a lot. They are repeat, and they're such large in scale that you can associate a cost benefit to how much resources are being spent by the city and how many times we have to go back there. So as far as a drain on our resources, the viaducts are probably number one, just because of the scale. Sometimes a pet peeve of the program is we will clear a corridor, say we'll do all of Gratiot, and it'll take us 2 or 3 days and all of our crew, and it gets clear and it's perfect, and you mark that down, and then the next day it takes them 1 night to ruin 3 days of work for us, and then we got to go back there. And so for me, that's like my biggest pet peeve with the program.
So we talk about graffiti, and again, how many of you actually see a lot of graffiti in the city? On the freeway mostly, because I'll tell you, I don't recall seeing. I mean, I remember seeing a lot back in the day, but not as much now. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So for folks who are here and even watching on our streaming broadcast, why should people care about what you guys do? I mean, because again, we're talking art. Yeah, it's illegal, but some of it is victimless crime kind of stuff. Tell us about what it was in terms of saturation before you all came into effect to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that probably the graffiti scene in about 2011 exploded in the city, and for a few years they were probably 3 stories up, and every building was covered in graffiti. Someone once told me a story that there was a prospective business, and they were going through a community, and they thought to themselves, like, there's all this graffiti, and then we came in and cleaned it, and when they came back for their second tour of a property they were thinking about opening the business in, and General Service had come through and cleared it out with both graffiti and weeds and all the things that we do, they came back and said, wow, you know, this is a whole different place. It changed their perspective. And so what we do is try to blend in so that you really don't have to care about it. So we can make the areas feel like they were already that way. So we're trying to do that a little bit more with by matching what colors were there before and doing a better job of having it blend in. And so I guess in general, it just makes it more welcoming. It's good if you don't notice it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What kind of talk to us about the whole blending aspect of it? Because you may have some situations where you have a wall and you can't find the right paint, or you have a wall that may be historic and you have to treat it a certain kind of way. Talk to us a little about how you determine how to treat a certain structure or material.
So that's why we have Mr. Reese and Mr. Woods. Woods is our head of paint, so he will make that decision based on the paints that we have available and how the current condition of the wall is. And Reese also is like our head of chemical treatment, so if there's brick or granite or cinder block that has not been previously damaged, is salvageable, then he'll make that determination and use the chemicals that we use to bring that surface back to practically new.
Mr. Woods, would I have anything on that?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Councilman?
Thank you for being here, too.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. As far as graffiti, to some it's an art, to others it's against the law. So our job is to go out and get the tags off the buildings or the bylaws or whatever you have there. But we determine the job as like you were saying, if it's a brick building, it's historic. We use this stuff called snot, elephant snot. That's not a good word to say, but and that's what it's very, very dangerous. It's a chemical we use, and you apply it to the wall so it can stay in its original texture. You apply it, and we have power washers and we spray it off. Some buildings have been tagged a lot, we can paint over. But it depends on. You have to really be there to see it.
To know.
To know.
So it's a little more specialized than just going out and washing a wall. Or,
yes, sir.
You have to know what you're dealing with. Because a lot of people get upset if you don't do it the right way.
Yes, sir.
Next thing you know, there's a scandal. So, speaking of scandal, I know, right? He's like, what's coming next? How were you all created, the graffiti task force? Was it any type of big name in downtown Detroit who called along the guides to bring about the graffiti task force, or was it something that was generated from a GSD, Detroit Police Department? How was the graffiti task force created?
I'm not exactly sure. I've been there about a year. I think it started around 2014, 2015, and I think it was in response to the influx of graffiti. There had been some out-of-towners who came in, and that kind of re-energized the local guys, and then they all were trying to vie for it, and it was low on the totem pole of priorities for enforcement, and I think that there was some new leadership in downtown around that time, maybe, and so it became a priority, I think, through that administration.
So now I want to talk a little bit about the actual job itself. Now, are you out there wiping the walls and power washing all that good stuff?
Anthony and I spent some time this winter handling some business, but for the most part, we have a crew of 6 guys who will manage our fleet and materials.
Okay, so are you guys out there on a regular basis, right? So come on, somebody sit in my seat, man, because you're more qualified to sit in this seat than me. Please. So tell us about, if you will, you're on a power wash. You have a power wash station. So you have are you on a crane?
Yes, we call it a bucket, but yes, we use a lift to get up as high as 4 stories.
So how did you end up in where you are today?
Well, it started a long time ago. No, I'm just joking. It started back in 14. I was laid off from the city. I was a building attendant at that time. And about a year and a half later, which went into 14, I was called back. And upon coming back, I was put on the graffiti team. And we started out, at that point, he had already been in existence, I think, a year. And we got a lot of things accomplished. I think the first year that I was there, the city, we did over 17,000 dwellings. And it was quite remarkable to really reiterate. Started out as the mayor's project, the mayor that we have now. It became his pet peeve, and it's been very successful since day one.
So it's something that was potentially proposed else at another time, but this particular mayor put it in effect because of the
yes.
priority issues that he thought was important.
Correct.
The program.
That's awesome. Move around, applause for that.
Thank you.
You probably don't notice it, so that's why you need your hand down. Because it's all gone. So we had some gentlemen who were here earlier at one of our initial First Fridays that were linesmen. They removed dangerous lines and power lines and addressed those issues. One of the challenges they talked about were not even dealing with the job itself, removing power, dealing with power. It was people and potentially animals out there. When you're out doing your job, what type of challenges do you face on a regular basis that are not necessarily dealing with the graffiti? Do you ever get accosted by someone? So you're removing somebody's art, or their graffiti, or whatever you want to call it. You ever get somebody come up to you, or do you have somebody in the neighborhood who likes that art and says, hey, why are you bothering? It's not bothering you, leave it alone.
We have all the above.
Okay.
It's back in 14, we did have dogs put on us. We had guns shown but not drawn. And by it being the mayor's pet peeve, it's a priority. Right behind any emergency call, if the graffiti team were to call the police, they would be there in minutes. They're looking to make arrests so that we could either slow down or completely stop the graffiti, as we call it. One of the important issues is we're out there doing a job. We love what we do. I retired from the city back in 17, and I came back, and I could only work during the summer months because of my pension and Social Security. But I enjoy my work, and I'm more than happy to be back. And I would like the good work to continue. And I ask that the public, especially the residents of Detroit, understand what we're out to do, appreciate what we're doing, and we love accolades. You know what I'm saying? If you like to tell us that we're doing a good job, that makes morale high, you know. If you wish to look and continue to walk, that's fine too. But as far as threats and other issues that could deter our job. Again, we take it serious, and we have no problem calling the Detroit Police or the Fire Department that will assist us in correcting that error.
We got to make sure we keep it safe. And this is why we do these interviews, because we want to make sure that we humanize people who do these jobs. And you probably wouldn't have thought about this gentleman if you just drove by him and he's about, sandblasting or whatever you're doing to remove that graffiti. You never even thought about it. Now, hopefully you will. Hopefully you'll think about, and for those people watching again on the streaming broadcast, hopefully you'll think about these individuals as they're going about their day-to-day life, because these are regular folks who want to go home to their families, who encounter threats on a regular basis that challenges to not just their jobs, but their lives. So we want to give them a round of applause again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, let's ask this question. If someone has some graffiti that they see that is bothering them, is there a phone number or email, or what should they do? Who should they go?
Well, if they contact us while on the job, we will take photos of the area, submit it to our supervisor, and the process will take place from there.
And we also, the C-Click Fix app is also one way to do it. We usually respond within 5 days to that. And then the number to call is 628-1136 to report graffiti that you see and want to get taken care of.
Say it one more time so folks who are watching.
It's 628-1136.
That's 313, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Any questions out there? I know we have some questions.
The assumption is that you primarily address the public right-of-ways or industrial buildings. What about residential properties that may be along alleyways that have been tagged? That's part one. And then with Motor City Makeover for District 1 being tomorrow, are there any particular tools or products that you would recommend using for those residential garages or alleyways?
Well, for the painting, paint that you would ordinarily use for outside dwellings. As far as brick, I wouldn't recommend the type of chemicals we use, because even though it's not toxic, it has no smell, but it can turn dark colored people awfully light if used improperly.
Yeah, it's a corrosive chemical, and so for the Motor City Match thing, I think if you guys can identify some points along the way that you are highlighting that need help, that's something that you would want to reach out to us, whether Councilman Tate wants to reach directly to us, or if you do the C-Click Fix, or you do the call the phone number, that's something we can take care of. And if you have graffiti on a private property, which is a garage or whatever, that's something that we can take care of too. As long as you report it through those channels, that's something that we'll go and take care of. We don't only focus on the corridors. We do have regular rotations on that, but we have inputs from like 5 different sources to go take care of things. So we would definitely put it on the list.
Hi, I'm always amazed at the determination these people have, and I think I'm thinking offhand about Blue Plaza, because down on the boulevard a lot. And how.
Thank you. And how they climbed up that roof, and put all that graffiti on, or they hang over the freeways. So you guys have to do the same thing to get it off, right? So that must be pretty dangerous at times.
Yes, well, we use a lift, a bucket truck.
Yeah, they don't.
And they don't, But you're right. It's amazing how they can lean over, and quite naturally they have help. Someone have to hold the legs.
And they're very talented to do it upside down.
They are, because it looks just like they were doing it upright,
It's a difficult job. Somebody's got to do it.
A few questions. You said that you know, you guys, it's your duty to take off the art off of buildings, but how do you differentiate somebody who was commissioned to paint on a building but no longer wants the art? Like, what's the difference?
So you're saying if like a property owner commissioned the artwork and they don't want it anymore,
and they just say, "Oh, this, I never approved of this." Like, how can you tell the difference?
I mean, I guess we really wouldn't. If the property owner didn't want it on there and they don't. So we have a art registry. So if you go online, you can register the artwork on your property, whether it's graffiti art, no matter what kind of art it is. If it's sanctioned and the property owner wants it there, then we won't address it. And for example, when the guys are in the field, a lot of the time, if they have any questions about whether or not this is like sanctioned or not, then they reach out to me and we look through the registration, and then we also try, if it's really close, we want to do our due diligence before we remove something like that.
One more question, maybe two. The next question is, you guys take off art. Is there a balance? And you said you also create like pathways and a platform for other artists to create more art. Is there like a balance to, like, let's just say you take all 5 pieces of art? Is there like 5 more pieces being created?
I would say no. I don't think the balance is exactly even as far as like the resources that go into the graffiti program and the resources that go into the art program City Walls. But we started that in the summer of 2017 with a really small budget, and we're able to do some really good projects. And then so the budget was increased a bit for the second year, and so that's something that we are also trying to grow and show that it works and prove that it's having an impact. And so slowly but surely we're trying to balance it out. We will, if we can. So if a community group or something comes to us and says, we want to do this art program, is there a way that you can assist? That is something that we'll look at and try to see if the crossover is there between the graffiti removal team, who has some heavy duty equipment and can accomplish things a little bit quicker than say just a volunteer group or something. So if we can assist, we try to do that as much as we can.
And one last question, if you don't mind. Piggybacking off of what James Tate said about scandals, not saying that you guys aren't doing your job right, but you said that sometimes people come watch, and you love that people come watch you guys do your work. But when you said the chemicals that you guys use are corrosive, was to say that somebody was to walk past and accidentally, get some corrosive chemicals on them. Like, is there a procedure to kind of like have them not be,
Yes. What we have is there will always be a 2-man crew. If there's people walking, we know they're going to walk past us, then we stop until they have actually walked by and went down a distance. Then we will continue. On ground level, there's not a problem. We use a long handle brush to put the chemical on, and then we'll power wash it off like 20 minutes later. For the high-rise graffiti, we use the bucket. The man on the first, that's on the ground level, his job is just as important as mine would be being up on the bucket. He's to alert me when there's people getting ready to walk by. The chemical, even with the power wash, it doesn't splash. You know what I'm saying? We have became quite professional with the job, and we can control the power wash up to a certain point.
Well, and it also has a bunch of lights on the truck, and they set the cones out, so it's very clear that there's a perimeter around the work area there that separates from public and the work that's going on. I just wanted to...
Right, and we will have occasionally people, even though they can clearly see what we're doing, will walk through the barricades. We have had vehicles that have driven right through the barricades. I was up in a bucket truck once, this was about 3 years ago, and generally I stretch my cones as far as I possibly can. You know what I'm saying? Alerting the traffic way ahead of time that there's some type of construction going on ahead of them. and they'll still come right on through. You know, they're more in a hurry to get where they're not going than to, you know, truly pay attention. So we have that concern, with, especially when you're up in a bucket. You know what I'm saying? You have to be you have to know your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? Not only are you power washing, every now and then you're looking to make sure everything is safe. Not only for yourself, but for the public, you know, as well. So this is a very, I consider it a very important job that we do, and we try to do it the smart way. You know, therefore everyone involved is safe. Thank you.
Now this, I don't know if you call this graffiti or not, but what do you think about the Heidelberg project?
Oh, watch out now.
Well,
okay, I'm not going to touch that. But we have been in the area, and we tried. I don't recall any time that we take away any of that. That has went worldwide. So, you know, unless the supervisor has something to say on that. I wouldn't touch it.
Yep, so period. Just leave it alone.
I think so.
Is that last question?
Because that's art, Auntie. That's art, Auntie. Leave him alone. I don't know, maybe you answered this question. I got here a little late, but do you all have an area that you're focusing on now, or is it all through the city? Because I have some graffiti on a building on the end of my block, Patton and Schoolcraft, and I would love for you all to come get it off.
Yeah, we can take care of that. So what we do is we have 23 main corridors. So, you know, the spokes and 7 Mile, 8 Mile, and Warren and Van Dyke, and a host of different main corridors that we try to do a rotation on and keep those ones especially clean. And then we also get inputs from C-Click-Fix, or we'll get inputs from the phone call, or we'll get inputs for special projects. So, you know, we keep this rotation, but then if you were to put that in or make that call, then we would go take care of that too. We get also BC, so BC writes tickets all over the city, and if they get a graffiti one, we pull that information and we take care of those. And so, yeah, we have like 5 or 6 different inputs that will dictate what we're doing. So, what was that? Schoolcraft and Patton? Do you remember that, Reese? You put that down?
So when y'all come? When y'all come?
Well, right now, actually, we are all
3 times on tape.
It might not be today, but because right now we have a full force effort trying to put the salt, the bags of sand, trying to. Everybody's pitching in full force there, but we should be back on the game next week.
So talk to us about that. If you, I mean, we'll come back to it. So can you talk to us about the sandbag issue? Because you guys are assisting with that, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, talk to us about what you're doing over there.
Yes, we're that happened to be my area. I stay in that area, so I'm very pleased with the city.
Which area is that? What area?
Jefferson Chalmers area.
And using AB Ford as the home base, the park there, and the state made it in a state of emergency today, I believe, and so there's been a great response with volunteers and people are pitching in, and I know that a lot of the water has been reduced over in that area, so it's been kind of cool to see. I don't know, do you know how many sandbags they made?
Well, as of yesterday, we did over 10,000. I'm quite sure before it's over with and done with, it'll be close to perhaps 20,000. And you would think 20,000 sandbags, you know what I'm saying?
And I'm not sure if you all are familiar at all with what the issue is. With the rain we've had over the past couple of days, you've had a state of emergency that was announced by the governor because we've had numerous flooded areas, some of which are in the city of Detroit. You have water that's going over the seawall into the homes and flooding the basements in their house. So you all, along with some other employees of the city, are helping to fill these sandbags for people to come and pick them up. So thank you all for doing that. Just want to give context.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Oh.
I was going to ask, can you talk briefly about the...
Hey, Rich.
Can you talk briefly about the City Walls program, how it's going to be rolled out, and how that's going to impact District 1? I think you said there were about how many murals are going to be painted?
The outdoor paint season runs from about May to October, and so we're ramping up our City Walls effort this year, and so we have a couple of residency programs. We have parkside artists who are going to do murals that are adjacent to the parks that we've renovated. We have this heritage mural residency program where we have 3 hand-painted sign artists who are taking themes about Detroit supplied by the Entertainment Commission and working with property owners to paint sort of like these vintage hand-painted signs that tell the story of the city, past, present, future. And then we have 3 mural artists who are going to paint murals across the city. And so we are going to distribute those murals evenly across all the districts. So your district should get somewhere around 8, give or take, new works of art throughout the season. And so we are going to work with the council member, the neighborhood business liaisons, and the Department of Neighborhoods to have a visioning session. So we want to bring the community together so they can meet the 3 mural artists and they can talk about themselves. All of our artists are Detroiters, and they can talk about themselves and what their motivations are. And then we can also have a session to sort of like give them inspiration as they work on what they're going to paint. So that should be coming up soon.
We want to thank you all for joining us today at our first Friday Satellite Hours. And make sure I get the names right because I don't have to be here either. We really appreciate it. This is Zachary Mears, Anthony Woods, and Reese Gallimore. Thank you all for joining us, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you to all 3 of you gentlemen to come up here on stage. Councilman, would you stand in the middle, please? Reginald. You're up for District 1. Hold on 1 second. You hold the water for you, please?
Use the right hand now.
All right, let's give a round of applause again, please. Thank you. Time for intermission. Dad jokes with Aaron. He's ready.
So how was that? You like it? A little different? So that's how, again, that's our goal, just to make sure we introduce you to some new folks. In addition to that, again, trying to humanize a job and a profession that many people don't think about and probably would not think to have in a wouldn't think to see these individuals as humans. So or being compassionate as they should. So we appreciate them for dropping by today. And as usual, we're going to go around the room for any questions, concerns, or issues that you may have. We're going to start, Aaron, do you have a mic with you? Well, Aaron has a mic. We're going to start on that side with Aaron. Aaron?
There we go. Thank you for raising your name. I appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The issue that I have is 2. One is the house that's behind me on Fielding. It is 1974. That it's like a back and forth issue. He said it was on the demolition list, and they also told me that it was owned by someone. But there's a lot of trash in that backyard, and people are putting stuff in that backyard. At night, there's something going on because I have a dog, and the dog goes back there and barks. So I want to know if someone could come and clean out that backyard and find out if that house is on the demolition list.
So who have you talked to so far? I know you said they. Who were the they that you
The
talked
city.
to? The city. Who's in the city? So we know back. I mean, so we don't need that information to try to help us backtrack because we don't like to.
I think it was Arthur Edge.
So you talked to the actual apartment
Yeah.
itself? Hold
Yeah.
on, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. So you say you talked to the partner, Arthur Edge?
Yeah.
Did you talk to Latrice at all? So no, we always
You know what? I
refer.
think I did talk to her, and she's the one that told me that someone owns that property.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll work with the deputy, with the district manager.
Okay.
Because that's their job to figure out how to deal with this issue of light.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we allow people to do their jobs, to do their jobs properly. It sounds like she's been in touch with you. We'll follow up. Danielle, if you can get that address.
Yeah, Phil. I'm sorry. I said Phil. It's Bedlam.
Okay. So we'll get that information from you, follow up. Danielle has your phone number.
Right.
We'll let you know we'll find out.
Okay, my other issue is these people that own houses, that are renting these houses, they're supposed to be up to code. And I've talked to you guys numerous times about 21347 Pembroke, that's next door. That's next door to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's a lot of issues in that house. And I don't know why the city hasn't condemned that house, because it has a pole, well, a wooden stick that's held up by a piece of cement that's holding up the awning. And then I talked to you about that swimming pool in the backyard that's covered with plywood.
Right. I know we've had numerous conversations, unfortunately, for some time about this issue. But again, as a legislator, what I'm doing is putting you in charge with the individual. We'll put you in contact with those who are in charge of that particular issue. Again, the district manager. What did Latrice tell you about that particular problem? When you went to the mayor's town hall at Pure Word, you mentioned the same thing.
Yes.
And he referred you to Latrice. Now remember, this is an executive function, so we're going to follow up and track it. But I can't demand anyone to go out there or make them go and do anything because of the way that the charter works. So, what did Latrice say? What work has been done thus far?
What's going on is they claim that they keep trying to get a hold of the owner of the property, and that's the issue.
So they're still trying to find out who owns the property.
They know who owns it, they just can't get in contact with it.
What's his name?
So what we'll do is, again, work with Latrice, try to figure out what the next step is. Because the only reason we get involved to try to help push this thing forward. Once we realize there's a blockade again, now we get back involved again. So Danielle, we're very familiar with the property.
Right.
We'll follow up again with the district manager and see how to progress this. If we have to, we'll put together a memo for the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee that meets every Monday, but I can't guarantee that's going to get the result that you want either, because again, it's out of my one-on-one control, but we're going to follow up to just keep nagging them. No matter what we do, I can tell you all kind of, promise you all kind of things, but I don't want to tell you anything that's not true. I want to always be honest with you. So we're going to work on it. Danielle's getting that information. We're going to make sure we track it and get back with you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more polite hand raises in the audience?
I would have liked to have find out where the commission artist meeting is going to be, because he said that there are going to be people that will be commissioned to actually make murals throughout the city, which could be very important, because we need to know what they're thinking, what they're, we don't want Mao Zedong or something like that going down Grand River, so, but how do we make sure that the people know about it and are there to find out what's going on exactly? Because that could be very important issue, like the other guy from San Francisco put that big Obey mural downtown, and that was not a good thing for the city. I was glad to see that go, but to me that's very important, and I would like to know where to look for that information. He couldn't tell me right now.
So what I can tell you is this is a partnership with the district business liaison, Tanisha Johnson. I don't know if many of you probably seen her at some of our meetings before. She works with a number of businesses in District 1 and works with my team as well with the Discovery 1 initiative that we have. The district business liaisons in each district is working with the department to identify certain businesses and where those murals are going to be taking place in. So I think that's one place to start. Do we have the Tanisha's phone number? Do you want? Okay, so we'll get that number for you, or anyone else who wants to know more information about where they're going to be and how they're going to be implemented. We'll find out more information as well, but it's best if you go directly to the source. So we'll get that information, and Daniela will get that phone number for you, Chair.
I've been coming to these meetings for a while and listening to a lot of people with the same problems about rental property. Some years ago, our relative passed away, and we found out he owned apartments in Jackson in a house. That's a prison town, what people say. Someone left a garbage bag outside that apartment building on the ground, and the letter came for the owner of that building, got a citation right away. It's a daily fine. But they patrol that tightly. When you go by there, you don't see what we have here. I live next door to a house I've been complaining about that was boarded up, and walks are never cleared. Across from it was the same outfit owned a house there that a dog was left in since last October. We finally ended up calling Andy Cruelty, and the guy came and broke in. They hadn't been there in weeks, and that poor dog, I think, was rescued or it's dead. But it's still not boarded up. But again, that walk was never cleared. The house isn't maintained. There's a truck left in the driveways when they're years. Who daily can do this and actually get out there? Because there's people maintaining their homes around there that are getting discouraged. They see their property values are going to go down the hole because these landlords are collecting money on this property. What about those of us that are doing it? If I didn't shovel my walk according to our city ordinance, I could get ticketed.
Yeah, that's a frustration for a lot of us, me included.
Well, what do we do about it?
So were you at the last District 1 monthly meeting that we had this past? I thought
yes.
We talked. We had individuals who were responsible for that at that meeting. Mr. Schuman is one of the inspectors who was in charge in District 1 specifically to deal with that particular issue. That's his role, that's his job, that's what they're supposed to do. Now, one of the challenges that we have, is what was mentioned here, identifying and finding the owners of the property. Because our paperwork was so horrible back in the day. We're a little bit better now.
We did have the management company's name. I actually spoke to them about the animal. I had talked to, that was at Equinox Properties, that owned both of them. We did talk to them about the dog in there, and they claimed they allowed the person to leave it there. But that dog was messing in the house. There's garbage in there, according to the Andy Crowley guy that tried to give it food and that. But that's still sitting there. There's a family next door with a small baby, and when this weather warms up, I can tell you as a professional dog owner, I don't leave my dog messes out, even in the cold weather, but it's going to be bad by summer. That's a hazmat thing. How do we get someone to go in there? It's not boarded up, it's just been left.
Who have you called so far?
Equinox, and I'll talk to Ms. Roberson. I think that's where we left the messages. I'd given her a note, and I also gave the young man next door to that property, I gave him that information, and he had called, but it's still there.
Okay, so we'll follow up as well.
Thank you.
She's the deputy district manager on this Roberson, so now we're talking. So Daniela, if we can make sure we get the information, so we can track this with her. And we have Tanisha's number.
Thank you, Aaron. Tanisha Johnson, her number is 313-460-0775. 313-460-0775.
District business.
She's the district business liaison for District 1.
I had something, I was at the meeting on Saturday, and something that I suspected was confirmed, and this is something that you, I think, in your role, Councilman Tate, can help with. They don't have code inspectors, and I'm sitting and doing C-Click-Fix, which doesn't always work real well on the computer, reporting addresses upon addresses every week, and the blight is getting worse in our neighborhood. So I said to Mr. Schuman, I pulled him aside and we talked for a while. He was very gracious, and he said that I asked, it used to be in my neighborhood if somebody put their trash out early, I mean, before they knew it, they had a ticket. My neighbor got one for parking across his sidewalk because he was blocking the sidewalk when he was just unloading his car. I mean, that's how on the spot they were, and our neighborhood was clean. Now we have to complain for them to go out. There's nobody that rides around and checks on things. And even when they go out and they might handle a complaint of, you've turned in, they don't see the rest of the block with cars parked on the front yards. I mean, Riverdale is getting much, much worse. And I think it's a shame that they did away with the code enforcement. In fact, I picked this up, and I had never really read at the bottom the blight issues. Well, a lot of them are supposed to be taken care of by the neighborhood police officer. But when I ask him about it, he'll say that's not his job, and even the supervisor said that. Oh, they're too busy. Well, everybody's too friggin' busy. And actually, I'm getting sick over this. I have so much anxiety about how our neighborhood has changed, what it's turned into, and I'm not at an age where I want to complain to anybody. And I'm getting to the point where I don't even want to drive through my neighborhood, and I do think about leaving. So if they don't get somebody out there patrolling these streets, those of us, especially the ones of us that are aging and have lived here for years and have seen the changes, if we can afford to get out, you're going to see us leaving. And I know for a fact from a study that one of the groups did that women over 55 are the ones most active in this city, trying to keep it up, getting groups together, getting their blocks together. But you're gonna, okay, Rosedale still exists, but these outlying areas, it's just a struggle for me. And it's the same people over and over again. They don't follow up. They don't go out and see, did they put their, are they still keeping up with this? There's the same offenders over and over again. And then others see it. I confronted a guy the other day. I'm not confronted, but I told him he was putting his branches out too early. And he says, well, I'm helping this woman, and I won't be here Monday night to put them out. And then he referred to, and this is on the MSU block now, they dumped, a big dump. He pointed at that, like, well, they did that, and that's exactly the attitude. The residents are the biggest slobs, and then outside people see it and say, they don't care. I know it. And then they come and dump too. So it just snowballs.
You've seen a change, because I know that there have been some demolitions over there, right? I know it's probably not as many, but what I'm asking is, you've seen the change since the administration removed the code enforcement division.
Well, yeah, and the neighborhood changed also, but that's what we need. More than ever. Back then it was all owner-owned homes, everybody kept their lawn up, it was really nice.
And that I think is a huge...
It is, and on our block there's enough of us that care that we've set an example. If you go down that first block of Chatham off 6 Mile where I live, there's not a can out.
Right.
And there are some issues, but they're not obvious. But it has gotten, with the way things are, just to say to the residents, you have to complain to get something done. And it's constant. It's not a complaint. Once a week, somebody left their can out. There's blocks with 9 and 10 cans on the street all the time. And branches in plastic bags. Why can't we need the money for code enforcers to be out there?
Let me say, Diane, there is a need for a number of different things.
In the city, I know.
So look, I can always tell you something, or I can tell you the truth. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but we're plugging in all these different holes that we've had over the years, and it is extremely difficult. There's a lot of things that people want right now. There's some things that I want that community has completely said no, that I don't want. So the street sweeping, I know that's very popular with a whole lot of folks. But I say, why don't we get out and sweep our own streets? Now there's some areas where you don't have blocks of people, where you don't have residents, where you have a huge number of trees and that debris and all that stuff. If the city doesn't come out and clean it, it won't get cleaned up because you don't have neighbors. But I'm saying, why are we spending $60,000 per on street sweeping when we have residents who should be sweeping ourselves?
And we have residents that are
But
raking their leaves into the gutter.
But let me say this. I say that, and then the community says, no, you're wrong. We want street sweeping.
No, they
when the mayor announced it, it was overwhelmingly something that was absorbed by the community.
You know what
and I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but this is something that was brought back.
Okay, but what about educating them that they're responsible for that street in front of their house to the middle of the street and the alley to the middle of the back alley? Mayor Archer sent out a thing and let people know that is your responsibility from the middle of the street. People think that they can just rake into the curb, out into the curb, and the street sweeper will get it. Well, dirt's starting, leaves break down. I even tell people that don't have a lot of money putting out their leaves, there's a vacant lot over there. If you just kind of, take the trash out and distribute them, they'll turn into dirt. And the lady said, I never thought of that, but that's a way of getting around the leaves break down into dirt, right, Aaron?
I wouldn't tell them to put it in the vacant lot.
Well, you know what? It's better than looking at it on the curb or having it in plastic bag.
Or
it is. Or I tell
or
them.
do it like you're supposed to do it and put it in the bag.
I tell them. I've even given people bags.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't,
So this is a bigger issue, right? So,
It is, I
so
think.
this is Sage, do it, save it, correct it, make it right. Now I'm not saying that more inspectors won't improve the issue because clearly, more would help. We gotta get to the bottom of it. People doing these things themselves, and you just said yourself, residents. This is not people who are coming from other communities dumping and doing it. These are people in our own communities. Now, do you believe that sending out mailers saying you're responsible for this and that will change that situation? Do you believe that?
I'm not sure, but I did pick up trash at the end of my block, just one container, and I started dumping in my can, and I saw some bills and stuff. It was some house over on the other side of Telegraph in Detroit, and they had a whole bunch of crap in front of their house, and I thought, why did somebody bring that one can of trash? I mean, there's no rhyme or reason.
With bills.
And with the more,
Information
yeah,
that you
well,
need.
I looked vacant, like maybe somebody had died or something, but I'm just, they found trash on Ridge Road from North Rosedale. They picked through it. If you pick through this trash, and they actually confronted the person.
So what I can say is I don't know if we had any new inspectors in this new budget. I can't recall off the top of my head. I can't verify what Randy may have told you, just offhand, because there may be a budget request that he doesn't know about. And again, I can't recall it. I never want to give you bad information. So what we're going to do, Daniela, we're going to get and find out if we did put in our budget, did City Council include any new inspectors? Even if we don't have inspectors that are out there that are designed or designated to go out and just drive around, there should be someone who, unfortunately, when you make that call, they end up going.
I don't want to make the calls. And I keep telling myself I'm not going to do it anymore, and I do.
Not you.
Because I
you.
can't
We're trying to fill all these holes that we've had over a number of years.
We need people patrolling.
I agree.
We do. And even the see-quick fix isn't adequate. There should
We
be other
need more police officers
categories.
as well.
Well, and if it
But
says...
listen what I'm saying, Diane. We need more police officers, but we're putting our fingers in the holes. We're trying to get more police officers as well.
Plus, we have Department of Neighborhoods. I mean, we've got like 4 entities to help keep our area blight free, and it's just not working in some areas because the people just don't care.
So we're gonna get that from you, Diane.
I would just like a real answer for this.
So I can, again, you're talking to the legislator. I'm not the one who runs the department, so I can.
Budget, you can bring things up.
So I just expressed to you what I was going to do. That's all I can do. I can give you some magnanimous answer and lie to you and make you feel good right now, but I won't do that because that's not me and that's not what you expect from our relationship. So what we're going to do is go back, find out, bring it back to you. Daniela, that's her commitment. That's my commitment. We're going to find that out for you and figure out what happens from that point forward. But again, there very well may have been some dollars that we put in, and I'm not sure because you've seen the budget. It's been about a month ago now. lot of stuff goes out of my mind with every department. But we'll find out for you. We'll find out.
Okay, just to piggyback on what she just said, I do believe that if the city send out information letting people know the do's and the don'ts, it would help a little bit. Now, the other thing is, back what I told you once before, and now it's escalating, the barbecuing on the front. Another neighbor is piggybacking on my other neighbor that's barbecuing on the front. And this young lady was barbecuing on the porch.
Yes, ma'am.
I know it.
So this is where
I know it.
This is where your legislation, as I mentioned before, this is where your legislator gets involved. I created an ordinance against that. That's what I did. Now it's about the enforcement of it.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is, and I can again tell you what you want to hear right now. We're going to get on it, but I can't promise it because I don't have that authority. What I can tell you is we're going to follow up and find out what can be done. Who's going to go out there and address the issue and do the inspection? But I can't promise you right now. I'm going to ask someone to take care of that
Right.
and remove it because I don't have that authority by trial.
Yeah, because
So we'll follow up because I want to make sure other folks have because we got the information.
Right. So
Danielle is going to get that from you.
Okay.
On where that is, and we're going to work with the department, say I'm going to inspect and take it from there.
Yeah, because they leave it right on the porch and in front of the house.
There's a whole bunch
and
of
it's
folks who do
just
stuff that
so
don't make
tacky.
sense. There's a whole bunch of folks that do bad stuff. What we can do is now try to monitor as best we can. Yes, ma'am. So we talked about Tanisha Johnson. Here she is, right here. Tanisha Johnson. Give it up to Tanisha Johnson, district business liaison. So Tanisha, we talked. I don't know, did they tell you about what we talked about earlier?
Briefly,
All right.
start from the
This is the
beginning.
murals. The murals that are going to be implemented in District 1. I was told that the DBL is going to help decide where these murals are going to be located. That's what I was told a couple of days ago. Not today, a couple of days ago. Do you have any information on that? Because some folks are wondering, how do they influence where these murals go? So it's not just in my hands, your hands, mayor's hands, whoever. How do they influence where
It's
these
definitely
murals
in the community's hands. I'm not making any decisions on where these murals go, but we are looking at some properties that are ideal locations for a mural. Something that has a clean canvas, something that has a nice, pretty background, like a building that has brick walls or a building that has a clean slate. So we are looking at some of the properties that. Oh, sorry. Hi, is this better? Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My apologies. I'm Tanisha Johnson, the business liaison for District 1, and as Councilman Tate stated, yes, I've been working with Zach Neers from the General Service Department with the City of Detroit on identifying some locations for potential murals. This is a new program. We're still in the phases of fleshing it out, but the district has been allocated the opportunity to have 8 new murals posted on commercial properties throughout the city. Now, what those murals look like and where those murals are going, that's to be determined. What we're in the stage now of is getting some of the locations together that would be good suggestions, you know. Like this has a good background based on what the muralists are familiar with painting. I'm not a muralist, but I guess there are certain qualifications that they consider before just picking an actual location. So we've done that. The next phase is actually getting some feedback because we want to hear what the community wants to see. What do you want to see in your neighborhood? The effort is definitely to get rid of blight. We want to clean up and beautify the area, but we want to get feedback from you too. So you will be hearing information from myself or Zach Neers within the next coming weeks, trying to just assemble some of the communities together and get some feedback and get some ideas on what you want to see, but definitely will be surrounding the theme of Detroit. What does this neighborhood of Detroit want to see, or what some overall Detroit-based kind of artistic ideas we can get from the muralists that are actually going to paint them on the wall. So definitely look out for that soon, but there will be 8 assigned to the district, or each district. Does that cover everything? Or?
It did.
Okay.
Gave us your number, so just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
So you start getting phone calls about that.
Yes.
That's why.
And that's fine, yes.
To have that information.
Yep. You can contact myself or Zach. So if you contact me, I can refer you over to that. Sure.
Anything else you want to tell folks right here?
Motor City Match, Motor City Restore, gearing up for the next round, June 1st. So you will definitely hear that from me. And the DGC has a finance workshop coming up on May 15th at the Detroit City Fieldhouse from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I have flyers with me. If you are a business owner or you're thinking of becoming a business owner, we all want money, right? How do we get that money? Come to the workshop. We'll have real lenders, real banks with real products that we want to offer our entrepreneurs. So, okay. Thank you.
Hey y'all, what's up? What up though?
What's up?
How you doing? Real quick, just real quick, the city can put out flyers, but I know a lot of people throw the stuff away. When it comes in the mail, it looks like junk mail, people throw it away. Because I think our district does have a newsletter that comes in the mail or something like that. People throw it away. 2 key things. Social media is the basic way anybody gets any information now, and we have to start talking to each other as neighbors. Some people just don't know. Like, I go to my neighbors and tell them the information directly. I just let them know, and I say, hey, advance is coming out. You might need X, Y, and Z. If we just have a conversation with each other, that would help, because a lot of people don't know, and reading the flyers, really, most people don't read the flyers or the newsletters. So we kind of have to start rebuilding our neighborhoods, just having a dialogue with people, just saying, hey, you know, this is going on. And then with springtime, we do get a lot of outside people dumping in our neighborhoods. I've seen it along Thatcher and Burgess. We got a lot of people coming and dumping. They're not from our neighborhood. They wait until springtime to do it. They come from other areas and do it. But we got to take the initiative. I mean, a lot of times I end up contacting John Joyers and they come out and help get it up. But we got to stay on it. If you see them license plate number down, write down the license plate number and contact the MPO. That's the only thing I can really say about that. And just one more thing. It Starts With Us Foundation CEO Mick Robinson is right there. Detroit 300 and Ceasefire, along with myself, we're happy to announce that the Riviera Motel is going Project Greenlight. They'll be Project Greenlight within the next 2 weeks. We had a meeting with them 2 weeks ago. We sat down with the manager, because the owner's from Florida or whatever. We have a lot of outsiders owning properties that they don't take care of and the crime happens. We gave him a choice. You got 48 hours to go Project Greenlight, or you're going to get protested every week till you go Project Greenlight. So the choice was go Project Greenlight or go Project Greenlight.
So there was no acknowledgement of how significant that was when you said it. So I don't think people understand the magnitude of it and where we're talking about. So give me an explanation of where Riviera
6 Mile and Grand River. 6 Mile and Grand River has been problematic for decades. Problematic. I've been over here for the past 5 years and have heard so many problems about the Riviera Motel. I know people who graduated from Riviera High School back in the 70s and said, oh, the Riviera, that was the spot. Riviera Motel was problematic when the 8th Precinct was right across the street from it, where Mr. Allen sits right now. That's how problematic it is. Riviera Motel is problematic because a lot of sex trafficking goes on out of there. A lot of drug dealing goes on out of there. There are a lot of girls who are told to come from other areas to our area, to the Riviera Motel, and they end up getting gang raped because they think they're going to make money. Sex trafficking. And they get gang raped. When we got to that meeting and we found out that the manager had the paperwork for Project Greenlight for a year and didn't act on it, that's why he got the 48 hours to get it together. Because there was going to be an original protest in front of that motel until he went Project Greenlight. So he had that choice. You had the paperwork for a year. It just sat there. There was DPD officers from the Project Greenlight division that came and explained it to him. And I believe, Mick, it was by 8 p.m. that evening of the meeting. He said, oh, I'm going Project Greenlight. We know you are. Because we're not playing with you.
So when was this?
We had that meeting. When did we have it, Mick? It was on a Monday about 2.5 weeks ago.
Are they up yet?
They're still getting, they're getting the details where DPD is talking to them, and it's going to be up within the next 2 weeks because DPD assured them they were going to make it a high priority for Project Greenlight, so it got done, but it's going Project Greenlight, and once again, CEO Mick Robinson of It Starts With Us Foundation, Stop the Violence Foundation, Detroit 300, and one of the ceasefire members were there. And we just wanted to bring that to the community. We also brought it up that, yes, they did make the renovations to the outside of the building because we brought it to Councilman Tate. They did that August of last year, but that's where the joke stopped. They thought, we'll make these renovations, and they didn't even make complete renovations. They made enough renovations to get building and safety off their back, to get Councilman Tate's office off of their back. That's where the joke stopped because we're still doing this and we're still doing that. Okay, that's great. But you still gonna do this too.
So let me just say this. So the green light is a great step.
Yep.
But we still have to change the behavior there. A lot of the green light stuff is self-reporting. That means that they have to say, hey, something's happening here, and then the police will be alerted. Unless there's a crime that takes place or a alleged crime takes place, and then they're alerted afterwards, and now it can be used as potential evidence in any crime. So what we've got to figure out is how to change the behavior that's happening at that location. Again, there's no police reports that we've been able to pull that corroborates all of that information. That's not to say that it's not happening, all those things that you outlined.
Yeah.
But what we have to do is understand that decades, I lived in this area my entire life, it's been a problem.
Yes.
One of the illages, a number of years ago, had an incident at that location.
And he tried to say that he hasn't had any crime on his property in 5 years. Yeah. Unless 2017 is the new 5 years, he got caught in a bold-faced lie because it's been incidents where DPD has came up in there from 2017 and 2018. But just so you guys know, they're going Project Greenlight, and I think the manager, owner, whoever, I think he has a clear understanding that we're, as a community organization, even once we get Project Greenlight, we're still going to be on his head because there's a lot of crime that goes on his property. There's too many young girls in this area. There's too many school kids that walk across in front of his motel. There's a bus stop right there, so like 100 feet away. We're on him.
We appreciate you.
The CEO Mick Robinson, he's the one that did it right there. That's the man right there. I'm just a big mouth that tags along with him sometimes, but he's the man that's been doing it right there. So all the applause go to him and Councilman Tate for at least listening to us, because had Councilman Tate not listened to us, that building would still look raggedy and the Riviera side would be up, because he took all that down because building and safety was on his head from Councilman Tate's office. So these two guys are who you guys really need to thank, and we need to work together as a community, period. Because when we start working together, that's when it stops.
And it didn't happen immediately.
No.
This has been a progressive situation where over time we've seen some change. It's
over
still
2.5
not where we want to
years.
see it.
Over
Not even
2.5
close.
years.
How can that go on? They're so brazen to do it.
Well, it's not.
Police must have forgiven them.
So I can't tell you about what happened in the 90s, 80s. Can't tell you. But what we can tell you now is it all depends on what is actually seen while they're there and what's reported. That's what it all comes down to. But I can't tell you what happened in the past.
I thought maybe we should stand outside and just take license plate versus they go in.
Well, everybody who goes there, you can't assume there's a criminal
Yeah,
and creating part of criminal activity. So that would be kind of harassment as well.
Well,
But
you can't. I know.
you remember it happens in reverse as well.
Right.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Well, Riviera was a long time coming, and we seen what was going on in there. We have people sit outside at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We do have a surveillance team, a full one, that comes in the community to do surveillance on properties such as that one. So we do that surveillance. We take back what we find, and we talk to. There's a unit in DPD that tackles trafficking due to our efforts in the city of Detroit. So we do have a unit now in the city of Detroit that we work
along with, they was with us at the Riviera Motel. And a lot of things that the owner was saying, he kept getting shut down. Because it have been numerous incidents that's been going on there for the last year now, to be honest. There's a lot of things goes on in the wee hours of the night that people don't know about. Young girls going missing. We have came over here on 2 or 3 occasions within the last 2 years, getting missing young girls at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So things do happen right here in the community, and that's why we push them to go to green light. Because if we take it back to the police, say, hey, look, our surveillance team is out there looking. Here's your evidence. Go back to the time and date that it's stamped. You can look at it and see. Then we can move further, if we need to be further, with that building being closed down for good. But we have to start somewhere in this community. Good job. Good job. Appreciate you. So now, who has issues that they want to discuss? Because I want to kind of piggyback on that conversation about green light. Anyone has any other issues that we haven't discussed right now? We've still got a couple more minutes before we wrap up. Aaron, so it's about green light?
It's about your history and your engagement in activities like the one that was just discussed.
Okay, so we're going to, anyway, and then this gentleman here, they will definitely want to talk about it.
Okay, those of us who live in District 1 and folks who live in District 2 is not surprised with the focus of Councilmember Tate, because he was one of the first council members who came to the call of community folks who were confused about the proliferation of the medical marijuana facilities. Councilmember Tate, along with his staff, were engaging in creating dialogue for the proposals, and consequently, I think some of the language of those present proposals are what we read now as it relates to zoning. That's number one. Number two, everybody in the city of Detroit know that we are involved in Motor City Makeover. District 1's Motor City Makeover is tomorrow. Well, we're going to clean up. So as a member of Grandmont number 1, if you have some time tomorrow between 10 and 3, we ask in Grandmont number 1 that you meet us between Schoolcraft and Kezia on Granville. We need your help. And thank you so much for your leadership, Councilmember Tate.
Thank you, and thank you for yours as well.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My concern was I have a trip hazard in front of my residence. I called on it about a year ago. I followed up with another phone call to the city, and they did say that it was on the books. It's a tree that's become so huge, it's uprooted, but sometimes I see people walk by and older folks and kids, and they're constantly tripping. And I mean, it's getting worse, and it's even worse in the wintertime. So the last conversation I had with someone, they told me that in last July, that they will come out and take care of it, either cut the tree down and fix the sidewalk. But I haven't followed through, but I want to know what should I do to try to get this problem resolved for somebody that's seriously injured.
Do you recall what department or who you called initially?
I believe I called the district manager's office, and they referred me to a number downtown to call.
Like 4th Street or something?
Yes, and I called and I did a follow-up call because I didn't. And they said, "Yeah, we got you down here. We'll be out," but it never happened. So
I know that what they're doing is trying to not do the one-off, so one house on one block all the way over here, and then they go all the way over this. So they're trying to do a number of them together. So if they hit your block, they hit 4 or 5 as opposed to one, and try to make sure the resources are used properly. But don't know how soon it's going to be in terms of your tree. We're now starting a new cycle, which is again a new construction cycle.
Okay.
Because weather's changing. Danielle, if we can get the information from the gentleman and follow up from the district manager or whoever within the city to see who is working on that issue.
Okay.
See if we can figure out when they can get here.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. So we were talking about green light earlier. And as you know, there's an potential expansion of green light that's going to be. All right. Okay. So So just in general, what's your thoughts about the expansion of the Green Light project from your knowledge base right now where you stand? See how it works? Nobody will.
All right. So me personally, where my neighborhood is, it's Castle Rouge, which is at 96 and Telegraph. There are very few thoroughfares in and out of my neighborhood. So if a crime were to go down in my neighborhood, no matter how you leave, one of those cameras will pick it up, and that information can be conveyed to the police. This is actually an initiative that we as a neighborhood association tried to do a few years ago, but we didn't know what the legal ramifications of doing it would be. So I'm very glad that the city has taken this initiative. So I think from a standpoint of reporting crime and potentially stopping crime, it would be beneficial. And again, my neighborhood is unique, given that, very few ways in and out of the neighborhood. We're not on a traditional street grid. So it's not like criminals have multiple ways of getting out and avoiding cameras. So for us, it would be beneficial, which is why we signed the petition.
You missed the whole side.
I'm going to put it.
How people raising their hand on there?
I'm going to put it this way. Whenever there are ants in my yard sitting up under a log, when I pull up the log, the ants start to scatter. And so, using that as an analogy to Project Greenlight, if there is surveillance in the neighborhoods, then that means, at least my theory is, that those that are not doing the right things will scatter. And I am fully in support, and we have signed petitions already, that our neighborhood association is in full support of expanding the program. Bring it to the neighborhood. Don't let it just be the businesses in the neighborhood. Bring it to the intersections of the streets. I've talked at this meeting about speeding in the streets and things of that nature. I think it can have some impact on those types of issues as well.
Actually, no. It's a violation of the law. State law does not allow for the cameras to be used for traffic-related issues.
Well, we can change the state law. That's what the legislature is all about. But I mean, I know that people have gotten tickets with radar mounted cameras. With radar mounted cameras. I mean, my wife will tell you, I don't like to build bricks of opposition to ideas. So let's talk about what we can do. If they see a camera, just like we all know now, that if you've got a camera on your front porch, the thieves are less likely to pick up the package delivered to your home and go to the home that they don't see a camera on. So if they see something out there and know that there is someone looking besides inside of the homes, they may be less likely to do some of the things that they've been doing. I just added on the speeders and all of those as examples and other things that are going on.
Anyone else?
Is it okay? Are you afraid of me?
Afraid of him.
No, I just wanted to know who do you contact about getting a camera up for dumping? Because I've been meaning to do that on Ridge. I don't think there is one. I haven't looked lately.
District manager.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
That's it? What? On this side here.
She looks mean though. She has her hand.
I think the green light would be good for the simple fact, when green light came along this corridor, it started with the Yellow Party store right here. Then it went to the McDonald's down there, and Wendy's just got it like last September. A lot of the crime has decreased. It'd be good citywide, considering, I'm sorry, those street lights that we have are crap. I'm just gonna say it. They're crap. They're not very well lit. And if you have it at intersections, especially with DDOT services 130,000 people a day. And you got a lot of kids, especially in the wintertime, they get out of school late, there's after school activities, a lot of people at the bus stop. If there's a crime that's going on, or somebody attempting a crime, at least there's that amount of security that there's a Project Green Light somewhere. And it's definitely needed for the simple fact that Detroit is not as well lit as it used to be when we had the old street lights. So
Depends on what area you're talking about.
I'm talking about the whole city. Have you rode down 6 Mile, West Warren, even Grand River certain sections? It's not well lit because if I'm taking a bus at night, I'm trying to get off at the nearest well lit stop. Even when you come right here at when you get off right here and you're walking past the probation office, there's a bus stop right there, but it's pitch black. If they don't have the light on in the probation office, it's pitch black until you get all the way down to like Lasher and Carl. So you need that Project Green Light because as long as it's dark, people gonna try to do what they do, attempt to do what they do. There's gotta be some point that we try to cut down on this crime. Because I mean, it's already spring and it's ridiculous. So I can only imagine what the summer's gonna be like. So I'm all for it if from a DDOT passenger perspective, if it makes us feel safer standing at these bus stops, I'm all for it.
So let me ask you this, right? So what about, and I'm not defending or pushing it at all, but what about this argument, I've heard this from someone who says that in some states you have death penalty for murder.
I'm sorry.
In some states you have the death penalty for murder, and people are still committing murder. So they have to stop doing it because you have this extreme capital punishment for this crime, but people are still doing it. They're still willing to commit this crime. So when we equate the two, or can you equate the two? Do you think that people will still commit crimes even if cameras are up there?
Yeah,
the way that our society is right now today?
Some people will because they don't care.
And then we got to look at the other side of it as well. The argument that some people have about Big Brother, about the government watching every move you make, regardless if you do. So we're not talking about criminal activity. We're talking about people now tapping into the system because it happens. Tap into the system and using that information, whatever that maybe it's not illegal, but maybe you are doing something that may be a little more. And that information is now out in the general public and used against you. Those are real arguments that people put out there. So we have that one area where we say safety, 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 safety. But we have another part of us that says, oh, wait. My information is my information. How do you want your government to balance the two? Because we got to think about all things considered. Because I've heard a lot in this room, but I've heard things in other rooms as well. And it's typically divided depending on who you talk to. And what era, generation, you name it, there's a number of different responses that come based upon people's experiences as well. And so there's going to be a conversation that's going to be had soon, I'm sure, about this issue. But I want to always get an opportunity to get some feedback from the people who are right in front of me. Because I know that at one point I may have a vote that I have to take based upon the feedback I get from the community of something that's in front of me.
Everybody talks about safety, 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 and government watching, Big Brother watching, but the neighbor's not even watching. Because I remember it used to be a time where you couldn't do any wrong because Miss Johnson seen you, Mr. So-and-so seen you, everybody seen you. Everybody got involved. Now it's to the point nobody looks out their window because nobody wants to be a witness to anything. Nobody wants to say anything. So if we have to have Big Brother or the government watch to ensure our safety until we get back to the point where we ensure our own safety, so be it. It's a price we pay for an unsafe community. Everybody talks about safety, safety, safety. Oh, and I don't want this and I don't want that until it happens to their relative or until it happens to them. And then they want to holler, well, why wasn't somebody looking out? Well, why didn't somebody do something? Well, if it was on camera and da-da-da-da-da-da. Until it happens to them, then everybody wants to flip the script. So I'd rather have it where somebody's looking out.
So you're a definite pro. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure we get some other folks here. So, and then this young lady.
Thank you, Councilmember Tate. And as the council member has indicated, us over here in District 1, hands down, we are very much in support. But there are other communities throughout the city of Detroit that are really, really suspicious of the Big Brother syndrome and an invasion of privacy issue. And to the fellow resident, you would hope it would be a deterrent. But the council member's scenario is the one that will be used, the one about murder, and it will be used as a deterrent by those folks who are against the expansion.
The Board of Police Commissioner, along with one of your fellow council persons, I'm sure you know, are in the process of looking at the legality of policy and how we as citizens in the city of Detroit look at this issue. May I please give a plug here? On the Board of Police Commissioner's website, you will have an opportunity to give your spiel as it relates to the camera issue, because even though you mentioned about the light, the insufficient light, the new cameras that they're talking about installing are absolutely awesome. So, and some people view that as an invasion of privacy. So again, you can go on the Board of Police Commissioner's website and you'll have an opportunity to give your spiel about your for and against. And thank you, Councilmember Tate, because that was a good scenario.
Yes, ma'am. We want to make sure that when the conversation is had, that it's full, a real conversation.
As somebody who has lived in District 1 for about 4 years now, I spent 2 years on 7 Mile and Southfield, and I spent the last 2 years in Rosedale. My brand new truck was stolen from in front of my house 3 times on 7 Mile and Southfield, and once in Rosedale. I am not okay with the expansion of green light. I'm not comfortable with cameras in the neighborhoods. I understand that technology can be infiltrated, and just because you trust your politicians now doesn't mean that you can trust the ones in the future. You don't know what type of power these people will have in the future. So you might trust the people who are in control now, but those cameras will not go away. You have to understand that those cameras in the neighborhoods will not go away, and you cannot control who has power of them in the future. So I'm not okay with it.
Okay. Welcome to my world, y'all. So that's what I try to tell you. So a lot of times people say, the community says this. The community is all of it. Is all of it. Yes,
Good afternoon. I'm in favor of it because not only having the green light on the main streets where you don't have businesses that are participating in the green light program, you would have a better opportunity of seeing crime being committed and possibly apprehending the offenders. But I think it should also be expanded into the neighborhoods where you have street lights. And many people are against it, but my theory is if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't have anything to fear. Most of the people who I think who are afraid of it and feel Big Brother is watching them, Big Brother is watching us anyway, whether you realize it or not. Everything you say, everything you do, every place you go, Big Brother is watching us. And I'd rather have Big Brother watching me and trying to give me some sense of security and the plausibility that if something happens, the perpetrators would be caught, rather than not having any security and people are constantly being attacked or molested, and people are constantly saying, well, why didn't somebody do something? Because we know in this day and age, many become involved.
Well, I got a feeling you're still going to need someone to get involved when it comes down to the trial, because you still have to face your accuser. So that's one thing we have to keep in mind. But I totally get. So again, here is this huge issue that's right before us, and we're going to have to make a decision at some point really soon. There's going to be a number of discussions, hopefully again with Board of Police Commissioners about this particular topic. Because you do have a difference of opinion depending on where you are, who you talk to, and again, the generations. Yes, sir.
Well, is it true that Wayne County is a sanctuary county? It's been listed as a sanctuary county.
I don't know if it's sanctuary. It may be welcoming. The wording may be different.
It's been listed as a sanctuary county, and I'm thinking that maybe we need to even step up our surveillances of what's going on. So
why is that?
Well, because there'll be people from outside, maybe with different kind of things, interests, other than what we're used to, and to the burden. More people means more issues. More people mean more issues. It's just the thing of
To be a little clear, and I'm not an expert, but the way I understand sanctuary cities is that it's welcoming individuals of immigrant backgrounds in that particular community, and not being as cooperative with ICE, who is used, in my opinion, in the law to discriminate against a number of people. So that's the way I understand sanctuary cities, and all those folks aren't bad people. We have a number of individuals who lived in this country for years, not about anybody, they live in our own communities. I know of one, and now these folks are now, unfortunately, behind bars, or behind a fence, or gates, and being deported. One gentleman who lives right in our community has a daughter. That's exactly what happened to her. A daughter, a stepdaughter, that's what happened to her.
I'm talking about the people who've been here, I'm talking about the...
But the law is the law.
The people that are coming without having to have, you know, so...
Yes, ma'am. Got one here?
I have a problem. I like to have cameras all over the place. If you use cell phones, smartphones, social media, everybody else is keeping an eye on you, and they're not looking out for you. If you got cameras around, somebody can monitor them. So my position is put the cameras in.
What have I said? All of those things you mentioned before are things that you voluntarily agreed to do. So an app, you choose to do it or not. If you're talking about your social media, you choose to do it or not. Government, I can't choose if the government is in charge of it. And going back again, we've seen governments mess up people's lives. We got some, in my opinion, some really bad government in place right now. In certain places. In certain places. In certain places.
I want to add, maybe we should wait till the 2020 election, because Trump has talked to Putin for an hour today about the Mueller papers. So we may be under a different rule. That camera might not be such a good thing.
That's that word. That's not the word. Anyone else over here who has not chimed in yet?
Hi there. I just want to, I'm not, so when it comes to green, like, I'm not completely opposed to it. But I do want everybody in this room to kind of take in consideration of how, like, what we're requesting at this moment and how difficult it is for legislation to be passed and what we're asking for. So, like, for example, like what somebody said that the street sweepers cost $60,000 per street sweeper, right? And we're still having illegal dumping issues, right? There's no easy way to handle crime. Crime is definitely not a temporary issue, you know? And understand that, like, more people, like, more crime, yes. But that also sends more police officers. More like opportunities to handle those issues that we're dealing with. So I just kind of want to say, like, I don't want to, like, throw everybody's, like, things out the window, but just kind of take in consideration of what type of issue we're dealing with. And like she said, these cameras, they're not temporary. Like, they're going to last here. So it's like more than just the current administration is going to keep lasting. Somebody's going to have, like, power over this that might not be in the best of our interests. So I just want to say that.
Hey, peace and love. My name is Negus Boy. I just wanted to chime in. The young man made a very excellent point. If I could just piggyback. Also, the other thing, I don't know if this has been said, but we also must consider the fact that what does this also lead up to? Are we opening a door for more privacy, things that can be perceived as, you know, invasive, you know what I mean? Intruding on what we consider to be private, you know, our private setting. So when you allow cameras all over, because, you know, now we talked about the green light, but subsequently after that, now they're talking about putting cameras on the traffic lights, right? That's another thing that the DPS, and I work with Chief James Craig periodically, but that's another thing that we're looking at now. So now if we get the traffic lights, what other thing are they going to try to implement cameras in? So we have to be very wise and very informed on decisions that we make, as everyone said, as permanent. And I understand the need for some alternative in terms of security. My thing, and this is just my personal opinion, I believe there should be some kind of mandate of security at a particular certain point in time at certain gas stations and stuff. That's just me, or liquor stores, because that's where a lot of crime usually happens in the late hours of the day. I think we need mandate security I think the green light also is very expensive, so you have that also to consider. So those are just some of my, thoughts that are just pondering in my head as I'm listening to everybody. Peace and love. Thank you.
So I will come back to you, but we got to wrap it up because we're getting close to the end. And before we do, John George, come on down. And Terry Care, they got something special that they're going to announce that's here tomorrow. Before after they wrap up, we got something else I want to tell you.
Yes, sir.
I saw you kind of peeking around. I want to catch you. I keep on missing you.
How are you?
This time. So
Grab a seat if you don't mind. How's everyone today?
give it to John George.
Doing okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Make yourselves at home when you're at the Artist Village. This was built with a lot of volunteers, a lot of corporate support, and a lot of love. And I think you can feel that spirit when you come in the door. We certainly hope so. Woo! There's a lot going on in the city of Detroit. One of the first things I'd like to do is give this guy and his staff a round of applause for meeting with us on a bi-monthly basis. And of course, our friends from the mayor's office, Ms. Johnson in the front row. Can we give her a round of applause? Her and Ms. McClendon do incredible work on our behalf, and we appreciate all you guys from the city and both council and mayor's office. All right, so what's going on? Hey, tomorrow night, we're doing a little thing called the Rebirth of Creative Juices. For 10 years, every Saturday, Alicia and company and others put together a live jazz, open mic poetry, spoken word piece. And we did it for, like I said, a decade. Then Miss Alicia had some health issues, and then our roof collapsed. So we got Miss Alicia stitched up. She's back at it. And we put a new roof on the building, thanks to a lot of folks, the Fisher Foundation and some friends from Texas. And we raised a few dollars here locally. You know, the funny thing is we spent more on the roof than we did when we bought the building. The roofs are expensive. But thanks to the good Lord and our supporters, we were able to put it back together. So this Saturday, we are going to launch tomorrow. We're going to relaunch the Rebirth of Creative Juices, live jazz, open mic poetry, spoken word. I believe we're going to have a DJ. We're going to have a young man out in the courtyard barbecuing. It's going to be nice. So we'd love to have you come. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, if any of you'd like to join us for the Mayor's Motor City Makeover, we're going to be meeting here at 9 a.m. With some of our new friends from Flagstar Bank. I think some of you may have heard that their $5 million is going to go to Old Redford. I had my deposit slip ready. I thought they were going to need a check, but they didn't. But that's all right. As long as they get close, I'll be happy. But seriously, Flagstar has stepped up, working with the mayor and the council and others to provide that kind of funding. And also, Peter Cummings, our good friend who purchased this whole block out here, starting in June, they'll be putting $4.5 million into that building to forever change this community for the better. There's going to be new retail downstairs. There's going to be some housing opportunity upstairs. And they're going to be spending $4.5 million to put that building back together. And then in 2020, the building just east of us here next to the bike shop will get a $3 million infusion. And that's going to be an extension of the Artist Village, according to Mr. Cummings. There'll be more opportunities there for artists, more studio space, more workspace.
That's a great building with the sunflower.
The Sunflower Building and the Obama Building, yes, sir. So tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., working with Flagstar and Mayor Duggan, we'll be kicking off this year's version of Motor City Makeover. And if you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you. If not, we meet here every Saturday, 52 Saturdays out of the year, 9 a.m., to go into the community and make something positive happen. All right, anything else I need to talk about? Well, it's our spot. It's our spot. Well, we appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you.
One thing in closing. Doors open. Creative Juices doors open at 8 p.m. And we're going to probably go a little late. So make sure you all take a nap. I need a nap now. I can't just go from 9 a.m. to 3 in the morning.
So they kind of used to clapping, right? But in Artist Village,
yeah, that's right. You snap. You snap your fingers. You don't clap, you snap. And also, when people are on the mic, you have to respect the mic. That means sit down and be quiet. Right. Well, I didn't say shut up. There is a charge. I believe it is online. It's 15. If you're a poet, it's 10. And if you wait to the last minute, it's 20. And of course, those dollars go to the Artist Village so we can continue the restoration and construction. And every dollar that we raise goes back into the village and into the neighborhood. So we're going to continue to
do what we can to attract additional investment as we work together to make Detroit great again. One last thing. Say nice things about Detroit. God bless you all. Love you. Peace.
All right, last but not least, I have in my possession 2 tickets to the Detroit. It's a Detroit Tigers game taking place on Tuesday, May 14th at 7 p.m. or 7:10 p.m. This is Tuesday, May 14th, 7:10 p.m. Pavilion, section 147, row B, seat 9. 2 tickets. Anybody interested? All right, so got 3 people interested. All right, so 3 people interested. How do you want to, 2? All right, so how do y'all want to whittle it down? So you ain't put the pressure on me. I bring the gifts. All right, so you both are here. Give her up. There it is. Come on up. Yeah, just give the tickets away. Oh, give it that high. She's Cheer Mom. Y'all give it up for Cheer Mom. And what is your name now?
Dominique Williams.
Dominique Williams, where do you live in District 1? Oh, you live in H2? Alright, so it's good. It's good. So we appreciate you coming out. How did you find out about me? Okay. CEO Nick Robinson. See? So are you you got the second ticket? We'll talk. So congratulations again and thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here as well. We're going to have our District 1 monthly meeting on, what day is it, Reggie? May 18th. May 18th, right here. I think you guys talked about it already? All right, so we'll be right here. So we got a lot of old Redford stuff. We always make sure that we create a situation where you understand we're part of a community. Not just your neighborhood, not just your block, but your community. So stuff that's happening over here is still impacting where you live, especially in District 1. So we want to outline all the different things that are happening right over here in Old Redford and how it potentially will affect where you live as well. So we have a number of folks that are lined up. Did you go through the whole lineup? Then don't do it, because we want you to come and see the meeting. So we'll send out information. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. And Lord willing, we'll do it again in 2 weeks.
I'm gonna do that. It's a tree right there. And it's got a side of all kinds of things. I just see that in my office right now. I look out and I see people tripping all the time. Like I said, I called your wife and said it's live. But I give the council and said it's make more sense. Very bad. proud of you, Bob.